Hey everyone, my name is Akinola. Welcome back to another episode of Under the Hood, the Rogue podcast. It takes a look at what's going on behind the mask and under the hood of all of your favorite people in your favorite org, Rogue. Show you what it's like to be Rogue. Anyway, we are here with our next guest. We're switching it up a little bit. Past we've done a little bit of League of Legends stuff, but we're moving into our first Rainbow Six guest. I want to introduce to you one of our players from our Rainbow Six squad, Korey. Korey, what's going on, man?
Not much. We just finished 2 days scrims, and now we're set for the day. Pro League tomorrow, or EU League, it's what it's called now. And that's about it.
Nice. All right. Now, a lot of people might be wondering when they're listening or watching. I know that I am a new viewer / watcher myself. Rainbow Six, you have this tactical first-person shooter, but it's not like CSGO. I mean, the only example that we really have of a successful first-person shooter franchise is CSGO, but this game, Rainbow Six, really deviates so far from what it is to infiltrate something that I find myself enthralled. Every week that I watch, these clutch moments that happen, these bomb defusals are like on a way different scale than CS. So for somebody who's never heard of Rainbow Six before, would you mind giving us a little bit of a breakdown about how that gameplay is different than CS?
I think fundamentally you can compare it to CS. You could say it's a shooter where you have to defuse a bomb, but Siege is way more deeper because in Siege you have all those things called operators. And you don't buy your weapon at the start of a round, you choose your operator at the start of the round. You choose which walls you want to reinforce, which bomb site you want to pick, and you have a way deeper level of tactic, I'd say, than you have in CSGO, and I think that's what fundamentally, makes the difference.
I noticed that when watching gameplay of you and the boys playing, it seems like nowhere is safe to hide. Is that by design? Like, normally when you're playing a first-person shooter, you're hidden in a corner. You might be able to peek down a long range, but you're not ever completely in cover. You've got people shooting through floors, shooting through ceilings, breaking down walls, breaking down reinforcements. You have these little devices that provide recon to you. Do you ever feel like that's too much to keep track of while you're trying to defuse or trying to attack whatever it is the round is?
Sometimes. I think like in the last 2 years or so, Siege has become way more heavy in the utility part, I'd say. So let's say in the drones and the stuff you have to remove and the stuff that's opening up and everything. If you're looking back at the game when there was a low amount of operators, it was way easier to play. You could, like you said, hide in a corner, you could sit, you could wait. You could just like play a simple little game and hope for the best. But right now, Siege is in a state where it's so complex and so deep that most of the time you either have to try something crazy and hope to get away with it, or you just have to be the smarter team. Those are the only two options you have. You don't really have any of those safe spots anymore. Any of those, let's just hope for the best. Let's just hide and let's wait a bit. It's gotten way too complex now.
Yeah. You talked about operatives. Those sound like the different classes of the game. Could you walk us through, maybe some of your favorite operatives, maybe some that are a little OP that you hate fighting against, and which ones seem strong, which ones might need a buff?
I think it's quite simple. I'm just gonna put them in the categories that we have. We have the hard breach category. So let's say something like Thermite, something like Hibana, something like Ace. Those operators are very rare. They can remove wards which are reinforced. Then you have a soft breach category. Those are like Ash, Sophia, just simple operators with which can open up wards for you, which are not reinforced. So you can get more angles. You can pressure enemies out of their position. And then overall, you have a lot of operators with utility, such as multiple shields, which would be Goyo. He has shields which also blow up, so you can also waste time. Or you have operators such as Smoke, which can, smoke. It's quite self-explanatory, I think. And overall, it's got so many operators that you can't really, split them up anymore.
Yeah, it seems that there's so much now that there's a ban phase, which I'm not used to seeing in competitive shooters. Just I don't want to deal with this certain operative. I can just forget about him for half the game. So that's cool to see. It's almost like League of Legends in a way, where as the game goes on and gets more updated, that you can't keep track of all of these things at the same time. I wanted to, since I'm a newbie when it comes to Rainbow Six, why don't we delve into a little bit of your history and how you got involved being a pro gamer? I mean, you seem pretty young. You got a bright future ahead of you, but what were you doing before you got started playing competitive Siege? Like, were you in school? What were you doing?
So my first encounter with competitive Siege that I've actually had was in the summer break. So we had summer break and we played the Challenger League, which is the second league of Siege, and we've qualified for the Pro League. And then I decided to quit to take a break from Siege because I thought I cannot handle it. And I've finished focused on school. I finished my school, and when I turned 18, finished school, and there was a new summer break coming up. I got a message from one of the players who's currently in our team as well. It was Rips. He has asked me if I can come to Düsseldorf the next day. It's a city in Germany, and can help them out in a LAN tournament. It's a German championship, and they asked me if I can play because two of their players are having issues right now, and it was a very complicated state. And basically from that day, I have played a LAN event for them. I've performed quite well, and they decided to keep me. And since then, I've been going on with Siege for the last 2 years, only changing my team once, but changing the organization quite often until now. Obviously, now we're playing for Rogue, and I'm pretty happy actually.
Great. I mean, it's good. I mean, it's nice watching you get these clutch kills, you know, the last few seconds on the clock, and seeing you guys grow in the different leagues. Sometimes I have to watch in German. I don't understand, but it's I'm sharpening up on my German as a result. What was your first experience with esports in general? Like, have you always been an FPS player? Like, what attracted you to this type of games?
I've actually been playing Dota since I was like 12 years old. I think 12 was the age that I started in. And I was really attracted to the pro scene in Dota, but not because I saw, okay, they make money or, oh, they see the world. It was just, they play on the highest level, they entertain, and it was just an inspiration for me to get better and to improve because those people, I just looked up to them.
Yeah.
And at one time, I stopped playing Dota and I got into Ark, and one friend in Ark got me into Siege. And I've started playing Siege, and I was horribly bad at the beginning, like horribly bad, because it was my first ever shooter. But I've gotten to know Rips, and Rips has basically brought me into the game and teach me most of the things and gotten me to the point that I was like decent and could improve on myself. And well, that led to me ending up here. And right now, I don't really love Siege because of the FPS part. I love Siege because of the options you have, because of the utility, the operators, and just the depth of the game. You can do so much more than what people think, and that's what I love.
How do you feel about Siege as a growing esport? I know that it's one of the younger FPSs, but it's taken the world by storm, it seems. Like, lots of people seem to be watching it all over the world. Its accessibility as a shooter to keep track of what's going on. How would you say the scene has how far has the scene come since it started? Since,
a lot, like very far, very far. I can't speak from when it started, because, well, I haven't really been part of the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
But from when I have joined the scene, I remember we have fought for the lowest amount of money, and we've fought to get just boot camps from organizations, and we've gotten scammed. We haven't had any events. We've had nothing. We've had really like poor support, and now we're in a stage where playing this game is very rewarding. Ubisoft is backing us up. We get to see the entire world, and you couldn't be any more happier as a pro than you are than what we are. And honestly, I'm really happy and really glad on how far the scene came. And I think most of it is due to Ubisoft really wanting to push the game. If you look back at the beginning, I remember when I started playing Siege, people were always like, why are you playing this dead game? It's a dead game. It's going to die. The numbers are going down. And now each event from event is getting bigger and bigger, and the views are growing, and everyone wants to see this game now because it's just, it takes time to develop such things.
Absolutely. Like, I hate that mentality about, dead game, streamer numbers are going down. Look, as long as people are queuing up to play, getting in those 5v5s, the game isn't dead. And I think it's better, in my opinion, for these sports to develop organically. Like, it's nice to have developer support, but at the end of the day, the players have to want to play the game. They have to like the community. They have to like the direction the game is going, and that has to exist naturally. You can't force something like the Overwatch League. Like, the competitive integrity needs to be there, and it seems to be there with Rainbow Six Siege. So it's just an experience every single time that I watch it, learning, oh, this is why they're attacking in this formation. Or so walk me through. Actually, you know what? Can you walk me through a round? Like, you're on attack. You have this and I've only ever looked at it from the spectator client, so I can see everything, but I don't really know how it is from someone in your point of view. So, tell me what are the comms like when you're trying to break into a building and find out where the bomb is without getting clipped along the way? Like, what goes through your mind?
So basically, during the drone phase, when we attack, we try to gather as much information as possible, and then usually it's Leon or Aces in this case telling us what to do. He's like, okay, I think we can do this. I think we can do this. I think I see a gap. Let's say we attack clubhouse top floor, like the cache side. You defend cache, you defend server, and you defend garage most of the time. And Aces gets the information that garage is is very weak. We can easily take that and we can build up from garage. And it's usually Aces saying, okay, guys, let's take garage. I want Leon to go below. I want Cory to breach from the outside. I want Kazeka to drone everything. And I want Rips to hold it. And we're doing that. And then we're going like step by step by step. And whenever people see an opening, for example, Aces says, hey, I can jump into this window. He jumps in. And Kazeka says, hey, I can go with you. I can go below and flank the guy who's holding you from below. And this is basically how how our gameplay is built up. It's built up on interaction. So it's, I see this, okay, you see this, I can do that to help you with that. And I think that's like also a huge part to our success and to the success we were missing when we rebuilt this lineup, because it really takes time to get these levels of interaction with each other consistently going. And this is basically like how we try to play the game. Obviously, we have preset everything. We know if we go garage, we do this step 1, step 2, step 3. But overall, interactions are the most important thing.
When you joined Rogue, how long would you say it took, like, to get used to playing with your other squad mates? Especially during, this coronavirus that's happening. It's you can't go to live events, so everything has to be remote. Would you say that you getting integrated with the team was a comfortable experience, or did you have difficulty? What was that like for you?
Well, at the beginning, when I joined Rogue, it was still with the old roster, but we took in Rips in place of Alphama, which was kind of a huge change because Alphama was this like loud, interactive guy who was talking a lot, and we replaced him with Rips, a guy who's very quiet and who calls everything that is needed, but who doesn't speak more than he needs to, basically. And I think it took us some time to get used with him and to play with him, but overall it worked out quite well, except obviously the 6 Invitational, this event hasn't worked out well. And after that, some kind of frustration has built up in the team because we wanted to go different ways and we believed in different projects. But honestly, after the changes have happened and after we've gotten the current Rogue roster, I think just from day one on, from the first game on, we just snapped together and it worked really well. We were super happy to play together. We gelled together and everyone was just motivated and hyped. And at the beginning, it was working good, but we lost our first Pro League game, so we realized we have to put in even more work than we thought. And right now, honestly, we're in a really comfortable state. Well, we're first in EU League, and I feel like we have reached strengths with this team that we never had before. So I think it's quite good. It's going well, and obviously the support from Rogue has been immense over the entire period. So I couldn't ask for anything else.
That's great. I'm glad that things are going good. Your introduction to the team was pretty smooth, and you guys have found this niche, this groove that you're going to continue to push forward and find success with. Your career as a pro player is young, and you're scrimming all the time. You're playing. Your life is probably a lot of Siege. Are there other games that you're playing like to kind of distract you from breaching things, like that you enjoy to play as a distraction?
Rarely. I sometimes play Dota, but let's be honest, especially in a life like when you're young like me, then and you scrim 8 hours per day, then you play a bit more Siege, let's say, because you just want to calm down, you want to play with some friends, and then you just take some time off. Yeah, like, honestly, lately, especially during Pro League season, you rarely want to play more than you already do. At least it's my take on it. Otherwise, you just get burned out, you get exhausted, you even get a bit frustrated, I'd say. I feel it in myself. I get frustrated if I play way too much and then scrim and everything. So it's, for me, I just take my time off. I try to chill with friends and family if I have the time, and that's about it.
So you'd rather just disconnect from the game. I completely understand. Like, as someone who spends a lot of time playing League of Legends, I'm not very good at League of Legends, so the wins are great, but the losses, they can really take you down. And I feel like the best therapy to keep you wanting to play the game is to disconnect yourself every now and again, just so that because I mean, it's one thing to play it competitively, for money, for glory, whatever. But if you're going into work and you hate what you do, like you can't be bothered, then yeah, you're gonna have a bad time. It's gonna show in your performance. So I think that's an interesting take, that you just you take a break. Some people would just rather play, and that's completely fine. So that's cool. I respect that. So you're obviously from Germany. I've never been to Germany. It's a place that I've always wanted to visit. So let's not talk about video games for a little bit. Let's talk about just growing up in Germany and going to school, and how it shaped your life. Obviously things are different there than they are in the U.S. You guys seem to be happier. You guys, it's green grass other side. But like, what is it like growing up as as a German kid? Like how are things with your family, and how do they feel about you being a professional gamer?
Well, I'm gonna start from the beginning. Like, it was quite simple. I come out of a very small village, like a suburb to be precise, and going to school, or like even starting from going to kindergarten, no one really around me played video games. Like my friends knew what it is, but no one ever played. Besides one friend, he kind of introduced me to it. He introduced me to Pokemon, like on the Nintendo, and it was one of the very first games I've played.
Nice.
And since then, I've been hooked. But my mother wasn't, and as soon as I changed schools, no one of my friends wasn't either.
No.
So I've had like limited times that I could play, and I haven't really had people I could chat with. And when I then started to get older, started to play more, started to see in Siege, okay, I can stream, I can make money with that, I kind of can go places with it. It was hard to explain, especially explaining it to my mother, who's raised me basically 18 years of my life, who's done everything for me. And then I tell her, okay, I kind of have this place where I can go study, but I don't really want to. I want to play video games for a living. She was like, okay, you can do that, but like, I'm not a fan of it. I don't really support it. It's just nothing I understand, so I can't really be with you. And the thing that made her understand was when we made it to Rio, and I showed her a link of it. I showed her a video of it. I sent it to her, and he saw that there are people sitting there and standing there in like suits and everything, and it's being serious, and that's what actually convinced her. Since then, it is quite easy. But I think the biggest difference, if you compare esports from Germany to just the USA, is that it's way less supported and less known in Germany. So if you go somewhere and you tell them, hey, I'm playing esports or something like that, they have no idea what you're talking about. Basically never. And even if you tell them and you explain them what it is, and they can't believe it's an actual job, they just think it's like a hobby or something you like, and then they're like, oh, okay, you do that, so do you study, or like what's your actual thing? And it's just something that's very unrewarded in Germany, I'd say. But besides that, I have to say I can't complain.
Yeah, I feel like now it's like it's accepted. People are clearly making a living and a livelihood out of it. And my mom was the same way. Like I never was a professional esports player, but my career was centered around video games. And I remember her always telling me, Akinola, you're an addict. Video games are going to destroy you. You need to focus on school.
Yeah.
I did what I had to do. But once she saw that there was, what clicked for her was that, hey, you're doing these events or you're being involved with these things. I had no idea it was like that. And, that generation, the previous generation is definitely going to be hard to convince because they're not used to it. They don't play video games even casually. So I feel like there's hope for the next generation to just already have that be the norm, that these events are being held in these huge mediums, these stadiums all over the world, and it's legitimate. So the future of esports is bright. Back to Rainbow Six Siege for a little bit. Say the competitive scene is bright. The teams, you got G2, you have all of these teams that are in different areas, different esports. I kind of want to ask about the Thai meme that has been kind of a thing of Rogue since the times of old. Now, this is information that I've gathered in my limited experience of Siege, but there seemed to be a lot of times that Rogue was involved. They'd be playing ahead, and then they would fall behind, and then their best case scenario was, they finish in a tie. So could you explain the meme to everybody? Why was that so prevalent in early Rainbow Six?
Well, back then in A Siege, when the Rogue organization set in an A roster, you could still tie, meaning you play the game. If you win 7 rounds, you get 3 points. If you win 6 rounds and the enemy also wins 6 rounds, then you only get 1 point and you play a draw or a tie. and SSG and Rogue were the teams that tied the most, and I think the old Rogue roster even relegated because of all the ties they had. They only just got 1 point, but other teams just got 1 win and made 3 weeks of work which Rogue made. So it just came down to Rogue basically tying every game. No matter them being up like 6-0, they only need one more round to win. Nope, 6-6.
Oh.
And that's basically where it came from. Honestly, when they picked us up, it even carried over. Like I think we won our first game, and then we tied 3 or 4 games in a row, and we had the most ties last season too. So it's a meme, but deep down it actually hurts. So
yeah, obviously you want to win all the time. Like no one wants to, especially like dominate a game and then lose every round and then finish it off in the best case scenario, which is a tie. So, but you guys seem to be turning that around. You know, there's less ties than there ever have been before, and I hope that keeps going. Let's stop talking about video games for a little bit. Let's talk about something that I want to talk about: food in Germany. Now, you know, obviously you game hard, you got to eat as well. What are some what are some of the foods that Germany is known for? Because where I live, there aren't really a lot of German fare outside of sausage. You know, and I know that Germany has more delicious food than that. So if someone watching or I were to visit your homeland, you know, what are the spots or foods that you would suggest that they would, you know, they should eat, they should visit?
That's a good question. I mean, the most obvious one is a schnitzel, I guess. I think that's quite obvious. It's basically just meat. It's cow meat, to be precise. Well, it depends. You can also have different types. You can have like chicken meat if you want, whatever you prefer. But it's mostly just cow meat, and then they make how do I explain that? You put it through eggs, you put it through something that I cannot explain because my level of English definitely fails at this point. But honestly, I can just recommend it to you. Fun fact, I've actually been to America like once. We've been to North Carolina, and we went to a German and French restaurant, and we ordered Rahmschnitzel. It's with like an extra sauce and everything, and it was really good.
Oh, sweet.
Like,
so it was like just like
really
eating at
good.
home.
Exactly, it was really good. Something else I can recommend is a bratwurst, which basically is like a sausage.
I know that. I've
bigger
heard
sausage
of bratwurst before. Okay.
Exactly. It's really good. Really good. And if I would have to put 3 things, let's say schnitzel, let's say bratwurst, and let's say, what did I take as third thing? I know what to take, but it's going to be hard to explain. I'm going to take Klöße.
Okay.
And it's like potatoes. You mash them, and then you put them in like a little ball, basically.
Okay. So like mashed potato balls.
Kind of. It's hard to explain. It's way more soft. It's like a cloud. It has the structure of a cloud, basically, and it's really good. You take it with some sauce, with like usually some like brown sauce. You take it with it, and it's really good. Those are like the top 3 German things, I'd say.
Okay. All right. One other food that I always heard about watching the European LCS back in the day was a doner kebab or something like that, or I guess it's like something in Berlin where they absolutely love that. I don't know what that is, but they always talked about it.
It's really good. I didn't know that's like something German. I thought it's something quite spread around the world, to be honest. It's in Germany we say Döner to it, like you said. I think the English word for it is kebab.
Oh, okay. So all right.
Exactly, and it's really good. You just like have a bread, you put in whatever you want. Like you usually get to choose some salad, some tomatoes, some whatever you want, to be honest. And then they put in this like, I think it is pig meat in this case, and they usually just have it like on a spike. They turn it around, and then they just like get a bit off it, put it in there, have some bread in it, and it's really good.
If you were going to suddenly you stopped becoming a competitive gamer and you went to being a Rainbow Six game designer, you had the power to choose how the game is shaped, and you played the game for a long time, you know the ins and outs. What are some things that should be changed about the game to make it a good competitive experience for all that, you know, Ubisoft has just not gotten around to, or they don't care about? Obviously they can't fix everything, but if you were in charge, what would you do to remedy some of the problems that you've experienced over the years with the game?
I think the problems I would fix the first were the problems that make most of the users upset. Let's say you're an average player or ranked player, and you just try to play the game every day, like League of Legends, like any other game. And I would try to make it as comfortable as possible. Try to get rid of the cheaters, try to get rid of the maps that the people don't like, try to rework the maps that the people don't like, try to rework the operators that are very hated and very, well, mostly banned, because obviously if they're banned,
Right.
there has to be something wrong with them, right? And I think those would be the first 3 steps I would attempt. And then I would try to, well, honestly, this is like the biggest wish I have for this game. And then after that, I would try to rework those operators that are not breaking the game, but are shaping the game into something that's, let's say, the 20-second meta. I don't know if you've heard about that.
No, what is that?
It's in Siege right now. You speak about the 20-second meta because every operator has shields, has so much stuff, and they place it down. So in an attack, you just remove shields, you shoot windows, you open up the floor, and then at the last 20 seconds, that's where the action happens. So the game is very slow and very stale usually. Sometimes you get an entry pick, and sometimes like a pick happens at 2 minutes 30, but most of the stuff happens around that time. And I would try to speed the game up a bit more so that teams that want to take that long can and will be rewarded for being so disciplined.
Mhm.
But teams that see, okay, there's a weak spot, I don't need to remove 8 shields and maestro cams and evil eyes and an echo drone, those teams will also be rewarded. So like that's what I would try to do, but it's kind of hard.
I didn't realize that was such a prevalent issue. I noticed that a lot of rounds are ending at the very last few seconds when everyone just kind of goes ham and just rushes. And I feel like because of games being like, there's no advantage to playing offensive. Like, and I think that's a problem with balance that I obviously can't speak to. I've seen it in other games like Super Smash Brothers or even, even League of Legends a little bit, where slow play is just better, because if you take too many risks early, you can never establish control and you just lose the game before you can recover it. So I hope that's just something that they fix, and you continue to enjoy playing Siege. Obviously the people there can't balance everything, and if I was going to play Siege, like I said, I'm not very good at first-person shooters. I tried playing games like Valorant, CSGO. I'm awful. I'm never going to be a good player, and that's fine. How would you say Rainbow Six handles the experience for a new player? Would you say it's a welcoming experience? Do you think that could use a lot of work? What are your thoughts on that?
I think if you're coming into Siege as a person who has never played a competitive shooter or has never played a shooter in general, let's say you're like me, you come from League or from Dota, then you're gonna have a rough time. You're really gonna have a rough time. There are like 2 or 3 tutorials at the beginning which you can watch, but the rest is really learning by doing. You have to learn all the maps, you have to learn the angles, you have to learn where people attack from, what people do, what those operators do, and all this information at the beginning is just overwhelming you.
Yeah.
And you don't really know where to go. You don't really know, okay, do I learn now the map? Okay, do they just attack from there because they just felt like it? Or is this an actual attack? Is this common? Is this an angle? Oh my god, you just killed me through a drone hole. I didn't even know there's one. And all the stuff is coming together. So honestly, the first 500 hours, let's say, no, okay, maybe that's a bit much. The first 300 hours you put into Siege are pure suffering, because you have to learn everything and you have to get wrecked to, well, wreck others, basically.
You gotta suck to get better. Yeah.
Exactly.
Were there ever any points in your Siege like learning experience where you thought it was just too much, like this isn't worth it, I should just play something else? Like, how'd you get through that?
I think I had those points like 2 or 3 times, I believe, where I was like, okay, this game is just being too much. I really don't want to play it anymore. And I took a break from it for, let's say, a week maximum. I never really took a longer break from Siege. And then the game is just like taking me back.
Right.
It was like, okay, you had your week break. You don't want to learn more. You want to learn more. You want to do more. And I was like, yeah, I actually do. And even if we're at events, let's say we're at events and we drop out early and I just can't play this game for 2 days, I feel like, okay, I really want to play it and I really just want to go home and play this game again. So, no. For me, it's just an addiction.
That's good. Well, it's working out for you, right? You're not tired of it yet, so that's good. To round out the interview, I'm glad that you've spent your late night hanging out and talking with me so I can learn a little bit more about Siege, and so our viewers and listeners could learn a little bit more about Siege. Also, what is your favorite genre of music? Like, what are you vibing to when you're just hanging out?
Oh, that's a good question, actually. I think I listen to almost everything, but what I listen to the most is I would say classic rock is the thing I listen the most to.
Really?
Or like
Okay.
I just like the most. Yeah. It's people are always surprised. No one would think that, but yeah, it's just I just like it.
Okay.
It's relaxing. It's cool. It's a bit of rocky. I like it.
Okay. And if you could, there's a place in the world that you wanted to visit. You know, you won a big championship. You want to take some time off. Where is somewhere that you want to travel that you've never been to before, or you'd like to visit
Bali.
again?
Definitely Bali. I've never been there, but I really want to be there. And once we have a long break, I'm definitely going there.
Bali. What interests you about Bali? I don't even know where that is on a map, so I'm gonna have to research that. But like, why Bali?
When you look it up, it's this like beautiful, relaxing landscape where everything's free. Like you have like this paradise almost, where you have like those big rice fields next to like an insane sea or an insane, let's say, ocean and everything, and you're just free.
Okay.
And you don't have big cities, you don't have thousands of people. You can just disconnect from everything. You can take a time off and you can relax. And that's what I'm looking for.
So you just want to go somewhere where no one can find you. You're just completely disconnected from the world. Okay, I can respect that. That's definitely a mood right there. Corey, thank you very much for speaking with me. I appreciate you taking the time out of your day to hang out. I wish you continued success in Rainbow Six. And one of these days, I will be able to follow a match without having to listen to commentators and realize why this wall is breached or why they're shooting through the floor. It's an amazing game to watch, and I wish you guys nothing but the best as you guys continue to climb. You know, people want to find you on Twitter or the internet. Where can they find you?
I think the easiest is Twitter, and it's just Korey R6S. I think that's the easiest way to find me and to contact me. And besides that, I don't think I'm very active on other social media, sadly.
Okay, well, yeah, he's busy playing Siege, everybody, so you can't get to all your
Exactly.
things, all right? But when he wins championship, he'll give you time. But Corey, thank you very much, man. I hope you have a wonderful evening. Everybody else who's watching and listening, thanks for watching and listening to Under the Hood. This has been another episode in the books. If you want to watch us on YouTube, you can subscribe to our YouTube channel, or you could find this podcast on Spotify, Google Play Music, and all that stuff. Until the next episode, I hope you have a wonderful rest of the day or night. Have a great whatever it is you're doing. I'm going to work on this sign off. Don't forget to go rogue, and I'll see you guys next time.